Hello, squirrel listeners. Put my makeup on but forgot my lipstick, so. Okay, the last thing I said, we were in the Bells story, which is the last one. I think it's the last one. I found us another book, though. And it's from the author of the Anne of Green Gables. Some more Christmas short stories. So I've already got that in place. So hopefully I'll get the rest of this read. Let's go ahead. The last thing I said was help Christian men and women in the name of him whose birthday blessed the world. Ah me, I rang and clashed and cried in vain. The passers-by only said as they hurried home, laden with Christmas cheer, the old bell is merry tonight, as it should be this blithe season, bless it. As the clock struck 10, the poor child lay down, saying as she drank the last bitter draught life could give her, "It's very cold, but soon I shall not feel it," and with her quiet eyes fixed on the cross that glimmered in the moonlight above me, she lay, waiting for the sleep that needs no lullaby. As the clock struck 11, pain and poverty for her were over. It was bitter cold, but she no longer felt it. She lay serenely sleeping with tired heart and hands at rest forever. As the clock struck 12, the dear Lord remembered her and with fatherly hand led her into the home where there is room for all. Today I rang her knell, Knell, like a funeral knell, and though my heart was heavy, yet my soul was glad, for in spite of all her human woe and weakness, I am sure that little girl will keep a joyful Christmas up in heaven. In the silence which the spirits for a moment kept, a breath of softer air than any from the snowy world below swept through the steeple and seemed to whisper, "Yes." "Avast there! Fond as I am of salt water, I don't like this kind," cried the breezy voice of the fourth spirit, who had a tiny ship instead of a tassel on his cap, and who wiped his wet eyes with the sleeve of his rough blue cloak. "It won't take me long to spin my yarn, for things are pretty taut and ship-shape aboard our craft. Captain Taylor's an experienced sailor and has brought many a ship safely into port in spite of wind and tide, and the devil's own whirlpools and hurricanes. If you want to see earnestness, come aboard some Sunday when the captain's on the quarterdeck and take an observation. No danger of falling asleep there, no more than there is up aloft when the stormy winds do blow. Consciences get raked fore and aft, sins are blown clean out of the water, false colors are hauled down, and true ones run up to the masthead. And many an immortal soul is warned to steer off in time from the pirates, rocks, and quicksands of temptation. He's a regular revolving light, is the captain, a beacon always burning and saying plainly, here are lifeboats ready to put off in all weathers and bring the shipwrecked into quiet waters. He comes but seldom now, being laid up in the home dock, tranquilly waiting till his turn comes to go out with the tide and safely ride at anchor in the great harbor of the Lord. Our crew varies a good deal. Some of them have rather rough voyages and come into port pretty well battered. Land sharks fall foul of a good many and do a deal of damage, but most of them carry brave and tender hearts under the blue jackets. For their rough nurse, the sea, manages to keep something of the child alive in the grayest old tar that makes the world his picture book. We try to supply 'em with life preservers while at sea and make 'em feel sure of a heavy welcome when ashore. And I believe the year 67 will sail away into eternity with the satisfactory cargo. Brother North End made me pipe my eye, so I'll make him laugh to pay for it by telling a clerical joke I heard the other day. I have a little of the good tea. Nana Michelle sent me. Let's see, where was I? Clear joke I heard the other day. Bellows didn't make it, though he might have done so, as he's a connection of ours and knows how to use his tongue as well as any of us. Speaking of the bells of a certain town, a reverend gentleman affirmed that each bell uttered an appropriate remark so plainly that the words were audible to all. The Baptist bell cried briskly, "Come up and be dipped! Come up and be dipped!" The Episcopal bell slowly said, Apostolic succession. Sorry, it's divided up. The Orthodox bell solemnly pronounced, "Eternal damnation, eternal damnation." And the Methodists shouted invitingly, "Room for all, room for all." As the spirit imitated the various calls as only a jovial bell spirit could, the others gave him a chime of laughter and vowed they would each adopt some tuneful summons which should reach human ears and draw human feet more willingly to church. "Faith, brother, you've kept your word and got the laugh out of us," cried a stout, sleek spirit with a kindly face and a row of little saints round his cap and a rosary at his side. It's very well we are doing this year. The cathedral is full, the flock increasing, and the true faith holding its own entirely. You may shake your heads if you will and fear there'll be trouble, but I doubt it. We've warm hearts of our own, and the best of us don't forget that when we are starving. America, the saints bless the jewel, sent us bread. When we were dying for lack of work, America opened her arms and took us in, and now helps us to build churches, homes, and schools by giving us a share of the riches all men work for and win. It's a generous nation ye are, and a brave one, and we showed our gratitude by fighting for ye in the day of trouble and giving ye our fill, P-H-I-L, and many another broth of a boy. The land is wide enough for us both, and while we work and fight and grow together, each may learn something from the other. I'm free to confess that your religion looks a bit cold and hard to me, even here in the good city, where each man may ride his own hobby to death and hoot at his neighbors as much as he will. You seem to keep your piety shut up all the week in your bare white churches and only let it out on Sundays. Just a trifle musty with disuse. You set your rich, warm, and soft to the fore and leave your poor shivering at the door. You give your people bare walls to look upon, commonplace music to listen to, dull sermons to put them to sleep, and then wonder why they stay away or take no interest when they come. We leave our doors open day and night. Our lamps are always burning, and we may come into our Father's house at any hour. We let rich and poor kneel together, all being equal there. With us abroad you'll see prince and peasant side by side, schoolboy and bishop, market woman and noble lady, saint and sinner, praying to the Holy Mary whose motherly arms are open to high and low. We make our churches inviting with immortal music, pictures by the world's greatest masters, and rites that are splendid symbols of the faith we hold. Call it mummery if you like. But let me ask you why so many of your sheep stray into our fold. It's because they miss the warmth, the hearty, the maternal tenderness all souls love and long for, and fail to find in your stern, puritanical belief. By St. Peter, I've seen many a lukewarm worshipper who for years has nodded in your cushioned pews, wake and glow with something akin to genuine piety, while kneeling on the stone pavement of one of our cathedrals, with Raphael's angels before his eyes, with strains of magnificent music in his ears, and all about him in shapes of power or beauty the saints and martyrs who have saved the world, and whose presence inspires him to follow their divine example. It's not complaining of ye I am, but just reminding ye that men are but children after all, and need more tempting to virtue than they do to vice, which last comes easy to 'em since the fall. Do your best in your own ways to get the poor souls into bliss, and good luck to ye. But remember, there's room in the Holy Mother Church for all, and when your own priests send you to the divil, come straight to us and we'll take you in. A truly Catholic welcome, bull and all, said the sick spirit, who in spite of his old-fashioned garments had a youthful face, earnest, fearless eyes, and an energetic voice that woke the echoes with its vigorous tones. I have a hopeful report, brothers, for the reforms of the day are wheeling into rank and marching on. The war isn't over, nor rebellion rebelldom conquered yet, but the old guard has been up and at 'em through the year. There has been some hard fighting, rivers of ink have flowed, and the Washington dawdlers have signalized themselves by a masterly inactivity. The political campaign has been an anxious one. Some of the leaders have deserted, some have been mustered out, some have fallen gallantly, and as yet have received no monuments. But at grand review, the cross of the Legion of Honor will surely shine on many a brave breast that won no decoration but its virtue here. For the world's fanatics make heaven's heroes, poets say. The flock of nightingales that flew south during the winter of our discontent are all at home again, some here and some in heaven. But the music of their womanly heroism still lingers in the nation's memory and makes a tender minor chord in the battle hymn of freedom. The reform in literature isn't as vigorous as I could wish, but a sharp attack of mental and moral dyspepsia will soon teach our people that French confectionery and the bad pastry of Wood, Bracton, Yates and Company is not the best diet for the rising generation. Speaking of the rising generation reminds me of the schools. They're doing well. They always are, and we are justly proud of them. There may be a slight tendency toward placing too much value upon book learning, too little upon home culture. Our girls are acknowledged to be uncommonly pretty, witty, and wise, but some of us wish they had more help and less excitement, more domestic accomplishments, and fewer ologies and isms, and were contented with simple pleasures and the old-fashioned virtues, and not quite so fond of the fast, frivolous life that makes them old so soon. I'm fond of our boys and girls. I love to ring for their christenings and marriages, to toll proudly for the brave lads in blue, and tenderly for the innocent creatures whose seats are empty under my old roof. I want to see them anxious to make young America a model of virtue, strength, and beauty, and I believe they will in time. There have been some important revivals in religion, for the world won't stand still, and we must keep pace or be left behind to fossilize. A free nation must have a religion broad enough to embrace all mankind, deep enough to fathom and feel the human soul, high enough to reach the source of all love and wisdom, and pure enough to satisfy the wisest and best. Alarm bells have been rung, anathesis pronounced, and Christians, forgetful of their creed, have abused one another heartily. But the truth always triumphs in the end, and whoever sincerely believes, works and waits for it by whatever name he calls it, will surely find his own faith blessed to him in proportion to his charity for the faith of others. But look, the first red streaks of dawn are in the east. Our vigil is over, and we must fly home to welcome in the holidays. Before we part, join with me, brothers, in resolving that through the coming year we will, with all our hearts and tongues, this is in parentheses, ring out the old, ring in the new, ring out the false, ring in the true, ring in the valiant man and free, ring in the Christ that is to be. Then hand in hand the spirits of the bells floated away, singing in the hush of dawn the sweet song The stars sung over Bethlehem, peace on earth, goodwill to men. And that is all of the story about the bells. Let me make sure, yep, what the bell saw and said. That was the end of that one. So tomorrow we will be on, I think the book is just called Christmas or Christmas Tales or Stories, but it is by the author of the Anne of Green Gables series, as well as others. Y'all be sweet, don't be ugly, and have a great day, and I hope to see you at 3. Tea at 3. Love you. Bye-bye.